Oren going to be What is up, everybody? I know y'all are having a lot of fun watching Froggy and Instinct going at it over on the YouTube channel. Much love to Rusty Crow for covering all of that. Got him situated earlier today, and uh, yeah, hoping that's a really entertaining game here. We do have another banger of a quarterfinals matchup between Vancouver Impact Challengers and Prime. Vancouver Impact took down UAFS Esports in round one, and Prime got a first round bye due to being top of Group D. Prime has been going through some roster changes and had a lot of subs going on, but it looks like everybody is at full lineup overall here for this series. But the one thing we definitely are going to be focusing on overall is the two top laners here, as they were both received quite a bit of praise from the server and MVP votes overall, with Sabova and Chiros. So I'm super excited to see how that matchup goes. And we'll see what the junglers can do to also put these top laners ahead. So we know Chiros loves playing tanks. We've seen him just cause absolute hell on this Mundo. Sabova, we've kind of seen him play a little bit of everything, but Prime, a very like methodical, very control-based team to where I think Vancouver doesn't mind to muddy up these games and get a little scrappy here. But we'll see what happens. I know Vancouver, they've been playing together. They're in a couple of other different leagues as well. So I know they've gotten plenty of practice in. We'll see what Prime ended up cooking up here with this week off. So we'll see what happens here. We are waiting for Vancouver's support. He is running a couple minutes late. So if you've got two monitors, feel free to throw us up on the second one while you've got the YouTube up. And you got Rusty over there cheering on his bro from Froggy, Bananasaur. So, yeah. Yeah, which Bananasaur did win the Battle of the Brothers matchup earlier, as they were both in the same group here. So, what do you see? Prime did take the blue side here, as they're the number one seed, so they did have side selection going into game one. Losers of each game will get side selection in the corresponding next game. This is a fearless format, best of three. So that's where we're at. The server is quite hopping here. So here we are into our draft here. So Prime getting rid of the Kindred. There is a couple of Kindred players in the leagues, Webb being one of them. Impact targeting the Mel, kind of similar to Kindred. There are a few mid laners that play Mel and actually are a big Mel merchant. Yours truly included here. We'll see what Prime goes to for the second ban. We see the Croc getting taken away from Chiros here. Croc's already done a boatload of work in this second round of playoffs. I'm sorry, no. It'd be the first round of playoffs. We've seen Vic from Small Brains getting a penta on the Croc, and a couple of other really nice performances from top laners on the Croc. See Poppy getting taken away, getting rid of the flex pick. She can go support jungle or top. And then Galio taken away from Prime. Galio just a nuisance to anybody that wants to like lean into AP. And then Nocturne getting taken away as well. You know, turning the lights off, never fun. The playing blind. So we'll see what Prime wants to take here on this first pick. The Gwen is left open here. See if this gets locked in. Gwen being kind of is a flex pick in jungle and in top lane here. Definitely been kind of sporadic on performances. She definitely needs some resources thrown her way, but overall a really solid top laner. Can lose some matchups early, but scales really nicely into the game. Impact ends up going with the Lovers Duo lane here with Zaya Rakan. So Stunner and Pixel kind of throwing the gauntlet out here. See if Big B and Cugzing can battle. So we do see the Smolder coming out. Smolder being again another flex pick here with mid and bot lane. You're typically going to see it bot lane here, but there's a chance it could go mid. Though I think most of the Smolder mid matchups were kind of, they're taken away a little bit. Oh, and a Senna coming here. So there's a chance we see like a super scaling bot lane here. If this is Senna supports Smolder AD or Smolder mid, you know, this is an interesting wrinkle coming out of Prime here. We'll see how this one ends up going, and also how this one gets reacted to. Because the other thing Impact has a really hard time is picking up armor stacking champions like Malphite or Rammus, just because of the Gwen. But we do see Lilia getting picked up here. Lilia is going to have a humongous impact if she can get into the back line and get some really high impact sleeps from her ult. Taken. Gnar getting taken away from Sabova here, so top laners equally getting hit with some bans here. Mordekaiser getting taken away. That's a really good ban, as Mordekaiser really has a fun time taking Smolder and Senna to Brazil. And then the Ornn getting taken away. Mordekaiser is one of Ornn's best counters. And with Mordekaiser off the table, that was really smart for Impact to get rid of the Ornn, just because of the scaling. Though I think Ornn just means Prime's comp is super scaling. And then Prime getting rid of MLEC's Orianna here, potentially. Yep. So now we're going to start to see what solo laners Impact's going to move to here. Some of the blindable mids are still up. You got Hui, Syndra. Galio was taken off the board. A couple of AD mid. Oh, Okay, is this getting locked in here? Ah, nope. We got a Malzahar taken in here. This is interesting, because there is some solid range on Prime's comp. Malzahar's not the greatest fan of getting poked away into. So we'll see how this one ends up going here. I really would think Prime drafts a lot of tankiness here in their 4-5 just to give this backline a lot of coverage. And actually, now that I think about it more, did we just seriously pick Malzahar with Smolder showing and another AD? This Smolder could go mid and just turbo stack this game, I feel like. So let's see what happens here. And oh no, not the Vex. So this is a Senna Smolder bot lane. I'm not sold on this Vex pick. There's not a lot of dashes. There's not a lot of backline access. Because I think if you're impact here, yeah, you just go something beefy that can absorb a lot of this. So I think Prime really played this first part of the draft smart, but then this second part of the draft, they went a little bit potentially to comfort here. You know, there was a lot of mid lane answers to Malzahar. You know, we talked about Smolder, Syndra's another one, Victor's another one. There's a lot of things that can stop Malzahar. But Impact really, I think, putting together a touch more front to back, more cohesive comp here. Neither team really has like major super tanks, but this Urgot, like Urgot's one of the best champions in my opinion. If you have a solo front line, just because of just how his E works, he returns a lot of damage. He still has some ranged access with ult. I do like the fact that whoever Malzahar ults, Urgot can just follow up with an ult from off screen, and it's much easier to hit. And actually, alright, let's move over here to the client side, because I'm seeing Sabova taking Maokai here. So this is going to be a Maokai top. Yeah. Yeah, a little chunky. He got a little trigger happy. Well, let's go back to the draft here a little bit and get some thoughts here.
My countermeasures are ready, even if you are not.
Seems you left your grave pants at home. Want me to wait while you go get them?
Let's see. Undo empathy. If Mal falls behind, what can Prime do to engage? Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like Vex engaging into Lilia, Urgot, Malzahar, you know, let alone the the lovers duo bot lane, like Rakan's gonna insta charm her, knock her up. Zaya, if Vex ever presses R2, just ults away most of the damage and the fear. Like this is a very very interesting draft by Prime. I do think though if they get ahead, then this game could be much more different, especially in the top side of the map. Like Gwen has the ability to break open games and have a Gwen moment, but she also doesn't really have any CC to lock down Lilia, so I feel like that 1v1 can be a little disjointed here. And yeah, this is a very very interesting draft. Note that now that we've actually got the draft done with, this is a Maokai top Gwen jungle here. I know it's something I kind of brought up a little bit before. They accidentally picked some stuff. So that is one thing to note there. I do agree with you there in the chat there, Empathy, that there is some deceiving amounts of range coming out of Prime's draft here. I'm just not 100% sold they get to that range quick enough, especially center range. Because if Senna Smolder get ahead, especially if Smolder goes, like, say, RFC second or even third with a boatload of gold influx, they do have some range. I'm just not, yeah, I just don't know about this Vex. For those that don't know, like, I am definitely an anti-Vex merchant. I'm not a big fan of this champion. I love her thematically. I love exactly what she brings to the game in the form of like a mage that can stand her ground against a mobility. But I just think the way her kit is designed, she's not very good at that. You have to burn her passive just to clear waves, which leaves openings for stuff like LeBlanc, Yasuo, Yone to make moves into her. Yeah, she can fight back, but she scales probably the least amount of any mage. Like it has a Nico Mel type of fall off in the mid game. Yeah, I was kind of saying that in the draft where I thought Syndra was going to be really really positive here. Like Syndra is known to be very good in the Malzahar. Um, and her Q that she maxes first can one tap the W Voidlings very easily here. I would argue that again, Smolder going mid, because once Smolder gets, I think, the first back, or for sure once he hits 25 stacks, Smolder starts to one-shot all of these minions. So I really thought that this was an angle for Smolder to go mid, but we'll see what Prime has cooked up here. They are undefeated. They are top seed in Group D, but their big test versus Small Brains was a very competitive match, and we see Small Brains fall to Group A's coin flip here. So we'll see. We'll see if the last flag bearers for Group D can put up a fight here. But Vancouver going through tiebreakers and then going through the first round matchup versus UAFS in a very entertaining series, especially that game one. They're battle tested now, and we'll see what happens. So let's transition over here to the gameplay. Let me keep the chat up. And let's see. I see we got about 15, 16 viewers here. Rurika, pleasure to have you, my dude. This is game one. They got a touch late start on the draft, but this is a hell of a game, and you're gonna see something in this load up screen that you probably already know I'm not a big fan of. Don't take much for people that know me. So I do think if Prime gets to this mid game and they can convert Smolder to mid, I mean, even switching the duo to mid Vex still has a respectable amounts of wave clear, especially when she's not pressured by like Xayah or Rakan. And it's not like Rakan can just freely W onto her if she has fear up. I do think there's a world where this Smolder still finds himself 1v1ing Malzahar here and stacking quite quickly. So I'm not gonna sit back and just say like Vancouver's. I do like Vancouver's draft more, but I do think Prime has angles where they can really excel into this mid game. So yeah, we do see Phoenix Flare bringing out the Ghost here against Lilia. So trying to match a little bit of movement speed here. I do like the Guardian overall from Pixel. We see the bot lane of Prime bringing double fleet footworks. So they're looking to be super aggressive in this lane here. Get time controls off. We've zoomed out. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go with game 1 of Prime versus Vancouver Impact. Vancouver is on the red side. Prime is on the blue side here. Again, one of the big matchups that we kind of talked about on Midwest Weekly was his top lane matchup. So Bova versus Chiros. Both of them have been excellent top laners and very big standouts for their team. If I remember correctly, I think both of them were catching quite a few MVP votes as well. So this is going to be a pretty big game. We haven't seen Maokai top this whole split. So that's also, again, a pretty interesting wrinkle to this draft here. But we'll see how this goes here. Conquer coming out for Lilia. It's kind of standard. Electrocute. Ignite coming out from Chunky Buggy here on this Vex. So. Oh, big level 1. Forcing the flash out of Qzing already here. Yeah, giving up that level 1 brush is tough. Do you see the fear and the electrocute coming out of Chunky? This Vex pick still does a respectable amounts of damage early, but that's kind of where this starts and ends. You just play respectful against Vex, you end up outscaling her quite easily. Bink, I see you in here. Please be nice. If Vex can smash this lane. Yeah, it could very well be. Definitely playing for the lane priority and to try and run this lane over with the Ignite. So Vancouver Impact already kind of scouted out where Phoenix Flare is on this Gwen, so definitely a big help for them. MLAC taking, again, quite a bit of poke from Chunky Buggy here. So CS-wise, nothing too standing out. We do know Urgot's going to get a touch of a CS lead here. Big trade here. Oh, and little Chunky. All right, making the first move here with a solo kill on the MLAC. Flash Fear plus Ignite plus Auto. Because if you flash while Vex Auto is in flight, it will proc her passive. So, as Undo said in the chat, if Vex can run this lane over, that might be a win condition. So we'll see what happens here. I feel like if you're Vex and you're putting this much pressure, I think you're rushing Sork Shoes here just to try and, again, keep this pressure onto Malzahar. So, a double snare coming out of Senna here. I'm actually also kind of curious what the Senna build's going to be. We haven't seen her support this whole split. We've just seen her at AD. So, if I heard that correctly, that is Smolder at 25 stacks now. So, Smolder getting off some stacking as well. Chiro's looking for the E engage. Was unsuccessful there. Smolder down about 5 CS, give or take, after this wave gets taken here. DC triple tonic coming out of the Zaya. Oh, Sabova ends up queuing Chiros to tank a turret shot here, so definitely a little cheeky on the trade there. So Sabova kind of playing the long con here, as Maokai does get more and more passive as abilities are used around him, and he does heal from those passive stacks after an auto. We do see Vancouver Impact going for this early Hextech Drake. Definitely not the best Drake you want to see this early in the game. You know, Ocean or something that gives you like a little bit of scaling helps, but it's still respectable. You know, you get attack speed and you get some haste out of it. So overall, not too bad. A lot of the champions, for the most part, do like haste. Lilia and Malzahar definitely appreciate the extra added haste. So we've seen the passive between the lovers duo there with the double recall. CLT cam win? Never. Last camera I tried to use on a cast, I broke the moment it fired up. So I wish I was joking. So, see the early tiers start coming out of Sabova. So again, playing a little bit of the scaling long con game. I think Impact keeping this game pretty fast paced, especially with objectives, definitely helps them out. The first blood going to Chunky is a feels bad moment, but we'll see. Zweb kind of not pulling the trigger on the ult as MLAC was a little far away. So, and I do love this Faded Ashes coming out of Malzahar here. I think this item is just turbo broken on first back with a lot of these wave clear mages. Asoul, Malzahar come to mind. Feels like I'm listening to a documentary. Start yelling, man. I'm not going to yell yet. I'll yell when it's needed. B of Swords first back for Stunner is going to feel really good here. You see Sabova getting, again, chipping away at Chiros' health here. Chiros, though, has a touch of a CS lead. The Phage is going to feel really good to try and play the spacing game. I will say with as much... Oh, level 6 coming out of the bot lane. With as much stuff that Vex and Gwen and some of these other champions got to run through to get to the back line, I don't know if the tier in the Seraphs is going to be super necessary on Malzahar, but we'll see. Qxing, again, getting a little bit of a passive stack. He's got 22 stacks here. 59 coming out for the Smolder. We do see Gwen getting the grubs here, which is, in my opinion, pretty massive. Just because Urgot has been just completely at Maokai's tower here, so not having the grubs hitting plates is pretty helpful there. So it's a good deny. We do see Lil Chunky doing a lane gank here. Oh, but Pixel ends up going in And bringing the Vex over to it. Ult comes out here. And Little Chunky ends up getting an ult here. Stunner trying to get some kills in, but doesn't. Zweb now here looking to turn this fight a little bit. Zweb potentially, okay, sleeping Senna, but, oh, Chunky with the fear. Little Chunky popping off in these fights. And when we see Prime attacking Chiros up in the top lane here, this is a 5-0 lead and ultimately a 4-0 cross map for Prime. Little Chunky Buggy on one of the most useless champions in League, in my opinion, but playing this exactly how he needs to. Yeah, that couldn't have gone any worse for Impact Challengers here. I do, though, think that this is the kind of lead that they need. They're still not safe. Oh, Lord. Okay. Maybe this is the lead. Especially all 4 kills going to Vex here is definitely not ideal for Impact. But bot lane's completed item here. Malzahar's at this point where he just has to make sure his passive stays up. And then Chunky can't all-in him here. You have to stop calling this champ useless. Well, he's making me eat my words today. He's playing this exactly the way he needs to. See the Gnasher's Tooth coming out here by Vex, so already at 1 item here. Looks like potentially a Heartsteel coming out of Sabova here. We'll see what this giant spell ends up getting created. Blue team ends up getting the dragon here, so scaling team gets the Earth Drake is a big, big pickup. So I really do like this pickup because if Impact Challengers is behind, they don't really have the greatest amount of damage. Chiros does have some % health in his kit, but as you can see now, Sabova's just dealing with this this aggression a lot better. 2 plates end up getting taken out here. We do see Zweb making a move up in the top lane. Vex is here though. Senna ult comes out. Sleepy Time comes out. And Sabova ends up taking that one for the team here. MLAC, though, rotating up, getting Gwen here. See if he can turn this. Ends up eating the Gwen ult. And Q's kind of a panic Q in the other direction. So Phoenix Flare picking up 1 as well. So now this Gwen super accelerated with 2 kills. Little Chunky doing exactly what Vex can do, is roam around and put a lot of pressure on this map. Plates going over to Vex here. Plates also going over to Phoenix Flare. And this is getting up to about a 4K lead, which is where Prime wants this comp to be. Especially 4K, where a majority of it is on Little Chunky here. Let's check this out, actually. Little Chunky up by almost 1,400, so he's half the gold lead right now for Prime.
Turret plating will soon fall.
Oh, well, there's an interesting interaction. I will say something that is kind of standing out a little bit. This Senna Qzing. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but bear with me. Going the collector first item here. That is quite interesting. So Then we do have a touch of a downside here. Smolder at 113 on the stacks, 43%. Oh, nice combo overall coming out of Sabova and Little Chunky here. Chiros will end up backing out of there. Cusin gets hit by Lilia E, but first turret goes down up top side, and that is Feats of Strength going over to Team Prime here. Phoenix Flare, again, jumping on MLAC here. And this Malzahar is just so far behind that you can't do anything about it. Flashes away, but it's not going to be enough. We're starting to see this map really fall apart here for the side of Vancouver Impact. And remember, they don't have the comp that has the scaling built in like Prime's does.
Let's dance above the human snort.
Oh, and this is kind of the ultimate nightmare here now that you've got Smolder in a lane with Malzahar. See how this ends up going, because this is going to accelerate Smolder stacking so fast. Especially with fully upgraded Q. 3 stacks. Every time Malzahar presses W, it's going to be just additional stacks for the Smolder. That's not what you want to see. We see Pixel getting jumped on here, but Little Chunky gets silenced here by MLAC, and the shutdown going, oh, it goes to the Malzahar. Oh, if that could have went on the stunner, I think this game may go a little bit differently here, but overall still big shutdown to MLAC's Malzahar. We'll see how Prime wants to play these. We still have Zweb holding on the ult here. Nice ult coming out of Big B here. Oh, and Phoenix Flare just snipping the Vancouver Impact comp. Stunner falls to Big B here. Phoenix following up on Urgot. And that's going to be a 0 for 5 full team ace coming out. And they end up picking up the dragon as well. So, well fought for Team Prime here. We see these tier 1s start to fall here. Chunky might possibly get this tier 2 up top. No, just gonna let the minions. I might auto it for a grub. Grub hit. He ends up getting Urgot ulted here for the slow. Pixel ends up knocking him up. And we see Zweb ends up taking down Little Chunky here as he was kind of greeting for this top tier 2. Yeah, which still's holding on a little bit. So another one going back into the pocket of Impact as they find themselves down about 7K, just a little under 8K here. Checking on Smolder stack. Smolder now at 165, so definitely hit the go button since he's been leaning against Malzahar up until recently. But every wave's going to be at least a +3. So Qxing on 58 stacks, so 43 AD, an extra 40 range here overall. So the 2 bot laners are scaling quite nicely here for Team Prime. Are they allowed to surrender? No, they are not. Oh. Little Chunky ends up missing the ult here. MLAC ulting in desperation to try and get a kill onto Little Chunky here. Phoenix Flare also being in the area can help out. So, and now Phoenix Flare finds himself 6-0-1 on this Gwen. Hoo-hoo, buddy, he's big. Big B now at 185 here on the stacks. Next fight most likely is going to be for this Infernal Drake here. See the Rips Herald getting dropped. Which Sabova looks like he's going to escort that to mid. Nope, he's going to let it just push mid. While Team Prime takes Otacon here. Really hard for Impact's Team Comp to walk into this. Now, especially when you have Maokai, Saplings, and everything else. Qxing getting a couple souls there. We do see MLAC chipping away at this bot turret. Looks like he, for the most part, is going to get it. I don't think Sabova... Oh, you can't stop it. Okay. So, taking a look at the gold difference here. You see top lane's up 900, jungle's up damn near 3k, mid lane's up about 1100, bot lane's up 900, support is even up by like 1500 here. So just wins all around for Team Prime here. Oh, and they caught out Phoenix Flare here in a brush cheese. See, Phoenix Flare is not went down, shut down, finally going over to Malzahar. Big sleep coming out of his web here. Little Chunky joining this fight. Big B's going to end up falling to Urgot here. And Impact Challengers fighting back here. Chunky does end up getting one on the back half, and Sabova now going on the stunner here. Actually, it looks like Team Prime is going to end up evening up this fight here. What a big fight overall. We do see Urgot kind of dancing around Sabova, and the top laners are the only thing left, as this ends up being a 4-for-4 off a Team Vancouver Impact Death Brush. I still give that to Vancouver just because of the shutdowns and everything else that they had to get in return. So, well played by them. It's unfortunate the stunner hasn't gotten a piece of these two. These two shutdowns that were on Vex and Gwen. But now we'll see what happens as we get to do this all over again. MLAC's ult is up. Pixel's ult is also back up. Urgot's ult's back up. The only thing missing for Impact, at least for the next about 10 to 15 seconds, well, Sabova making the move here. Pixel ends up going over to Urgot. Malzahar ends up ulting Phoenix Flare. Vex going in on the Urgot here. Big B, though, has the Q going on. Little Buggy ends up getting taken to the back line by Pixel. Gets put to sleep, though. Zweb ends up taking out Little Chunky, but Pixel delivering delivering Little Chunky to the back line was so unfortunate for how that fight went. Gwen, after surviving that, ends up picking up the dragon. And that's 3 dragons for the side of Team Prime. in a tier 3 inhib turret also going down here. So two great big fights going on. The first one, I think you would call that an overall plus for impact, but then the return fight, we've seen some of the cooldowns come back for Team Prime, and they ended up turning that. Without that fighting, let's check this out. Yeah, we have Smolder at max or at full stacks here. Just, Senna almost at 100 stacks. She's just shy of 75. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. So Vex still on 2 items though. She hasn't really gotten a big piece of these last couple fights here. She's been getting Malzahar ulted, which is kind of how we felt like some of these fights were going to go down. She just ends up having a super big lead. Team Prime though, looking at this Baron, Sabova TPing to fight Urgot here. You still gotta respect the Urgot with the Black Cleaver Sterix here. Sabova is quite massive though. Has 3 items. Oh good lord. He's just dancing around Sabova, and he's definitely shrugging quite a bit of this all. Vex ult ends up coming out, and Urgot is going to fall here off this split. Oh lord, the Q splash just on the stunner. Prime making use of this Baron, pushing onto this mid lane tier 2. Now making a move on tier 3. Double snare coming out of Senna here, which is pretty big. Oh, lord. The bot lane for Prime putting some damage out there. You see RFC and Black Cleaver completed for Smolder and Senna here. So they have a lot of range. Their siege is actually really, really good. Sweb getting taken out here by Little Chunky. Phoenix Flare ends up picking them up. Urgot ult ends up going to the side here. Little Chunky ends up going back in after the turret ends up falling. See what he has here. He does have R2 again back up off the resets, but doesn't take it. And that might be the siege here that they needed as Gwen ends up chopping down Pixel. Malzahar just unable to do any type of damage here. Stunner getting pushed back. And Team Prime is going to take game 1 from Vancouver Impact. And what was a really, really nice performance from their mid-jungle duo. Little Chunky putting a lot of pressure on this early game with Vex. And then Phoenix Flare getting some kills off rotations and team fights here. So, excuse me. Let's go over here to the grass. We see Vex doing a very, very respectable amount of damage here. Urgot also pumping out quite a bit, though he was hitting a big brick wall. So, but yeah, really solid game overall by Team Prime. And we'll see what Impact Challengers has in response to them. Prime got the skill for free. Gotta play faster. I don't know if they really had the champions that could play that much faster. Like for Malzahar, you're just waiting on level 6. You can't really play the early game that fast, and when you give away an early game kill to Vex, then she does do like respectable amounts of damage and can put pressure on the map, especially with the R. And she used her first couple R's really, really effectively on the bot lane here. We'll see what Impact has in store for this game too. So not much changing on the bans here. We see Mel, Poppy, Galio, Kindred. We do see the Mundo ban coming out for Team Prime. Bink, Prime took game 1. Prime is up 1-0 versus Vancouver Impact Challengers here. There's best of 3. Nocturne ban coming out as well. See a Varus, a B1 Varus coming out here. So, looking back at this draft here, sorry, got a couple messages I had to respond to. So, Impact ends up just completely pivoting away from Game 1's draft, where now they drafted pure early game. And Lee Sin and Lucian. Prime now matching early game with early game with Nefiri Annie, though Nefiri does scale much better and in my opinion has a few more tools than Lee Sin does. But if Lee Sin does land the Q onto Nefiri and not one of her dogs, then Lee Sin can definitely get a jump onto the dog real quickly here. Let's see what they pair with this Lucian. With Annie coming out, Annie I think is a really good response to short range team comps. She brings quite a bit to the table here. Ooh, Lucian Lux. Well, this could potentially be a Lux mid. It's not out of the question. I do think I remember seeing a Lux mid earlier in the season, but don't quote me on that. So, definitely a lot more flexibility in the draft here for Impact. I'd speculate Lux mid. I would tend to think that way as well. Because the really interesting thing is if Lux gets caught out by Nefiri, Nefiri's coming straight in at her, so you just QE yourself on the ground and then R, and you're returning a lot of burst damage back over the Nefiri. And if Nefiri takes all that damage when she lands, then her dogs are also just completely blasted away. So you end up actually full blow 1v1ing Nefiri. So it is an interesting dynamic and interaction. So, alright, whoever guessed Lux mid out there, you would be correct. Because this is a Braum support, Lucian Braum coming out here. Also quite interesting. Um, Prime may not have thought that that was a Lux support and just kind of banned away. Well, they kind of low-key wasn't sure with the, I see they banned Milio, so they weren't 100% sold on it. But now we see a Nico support coming out here. So, big pickup here for Prime. As if you can pilot Nico support, it is one of the most annoying things to play against ever. Like, this champion is beyond annoying. And then Gnar coming out for Sabova up in the top lane here. So, we'll see what Impact wants to pick for their top laner. And a Malphite coming out. Alright, I like this. I think this is a really good Malphite angle. We've seen Malphite yesterday in Coin Flip versus Bucket Johns, where Malphite absolutely had his way with the Gnar matchup. So we'll see if Chiros wants to repeat that performance against Sabova.
You overstep. My countermeasures are ready, even if you are not.
Seems you left your brave pants at home. Want me to wait while you go get them?
So we'll see how these will end up getting played out. These teams are going to scrap back and forth, I feel like, in the mid game. Once the team fights happen, these are going to be explosive. It's going to look like a brawl matchup, I feel like. And I can't even say who would win, because it feels like all of these champions have relatively low ult cooldowns. So, we'll see what comes out. I am going to refresh my drink real quick as we wait for the delay to start up. So, we'll be right back with you guys here in a few minutes. All right. Let's see, we have we are just done with the spectator delay here, so are you, am I alone for preferring Nami over Braum? I think both of them do their jobs very well. I think Braum's a little more consistent and has a lot more interactions with certain team comps, especially auto attackers. So Braum to me seems to be the most consistent. So, but here we go, boys. We got Vancouver Impact on the red side. Team Prime on the blue side here. Team Prime is up 1-0.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Vancouver getting a little bit of an early ward here, but we also do see Team Prime getting in a decent invade up here. Let's see who walks into this. Oh, and it gets sniffed out by Lux. Even though she didn't see the champions, her E seen the dogs. So we do see Braum walking up here. Oh, this is going to be a level 1 pinch. This is a 4v1. Malphite's going to go down. Zweb does shield him. No, Malphite had to flash away. Boatload of flashes getting used, and Phoenix Flare is going to give first blood over the Zweb. Let's see if Lee Sin ends up getting the second one. MLAC takes the second one. And Sabova is going to get taken out as well. And that's Feats of Warfare immediately going over to the side of Vancouver Impact. And Stunner is actually being completely zoned off this wave because Braum moved up here. So let's take a little bit of just a snapshot of that. That is Lee Sin with 2 kills, Lux with 1 kill. Oh, big E coming out of Nico here. Yeah, no PTA, Lux. I don't think you want PTA in this specific game. I'm also kind of curious to see what build this Malphite goes. We seen like AP in the tank yesterday, where it felt like he could one-shot anybody on the map early. And I mean, you're already up 1,300 gold in this game as it goes. Here after the instinct. Oh, well, spoilers there, Nexus. But pleasure for you to join me here. So, game 1 went over to Team Prime. A really, really solid performance out of their mid-jungle here. And this is game 2 here as Impact Challengers end up sniffing out a level 1 invade. 4v5 did and got Feats of Warfare. First back tunneler by Lee Sin. Woohoo, buddy, that's going to hurt. Oh, and Zweb coming in for a gank over here. Oh, he didn't take the Q. It's probably smart. I believe Chunky was 1 spell away from stun. So it was going to end up being a 1-for-1 at best case scenario. So Bova getting an early push in here versus Malphite. Oh, what nice Q. And Chunky ends up falling as MLAC lands the Q. And that's 3-0 on this Lee Sin here. So they're trying to take this to a game 3. Let's see how Prime wants to respond here. Nice poke coming out of Nico here. As the Varus Nico bot lane getting a little bit of a lead here early, though Wave's coming over to Stunner. So he'll pick up a few of this farm back. And we see, oh, the level 6 coming out of Churros here. On the Malphite, nice roam overall. And Little Chunky getting taken down again, starting the game off 0-3. So Impact getting some revenge on his Vex from last game here. So they were picked B5 and R5, I believe, were the top laners there. Geo. Oh, nice reaction from Lux here off the flash ult from Annie. We do see Phoenix ends up coming in here. Shield coming out. Dodges Zweb's E here. Oh! But the Q goes through the minions and Phoenix Flare takes a chunk of damage. Ultimately does not fall. But as big a performance as the mid jungle for Prime had last game, Impacts, they're fighting back here. We do see Malphite, though, not speccing into the AP that we seen yesterday. This Annie's just completely getting outranged here in mid. Lux has got to be super annoying when she gets ahead, especially gets access to Lost Chapter. Feels like she never runs out of mana and she can just poke you from a mile away. And I think it's more effective than even Zoe, because she can just throw it through the minions and zone you off. Red team does end up picking the Void Grubs here, which really works out, especially for mid lane, as this Annie just keeps constantly getting pushed in. Almost down 20 CS here. So Luck's going to be able to use those Void Grubs and get an extra plate or two. I'm not a big fan of the Blackfire Torch here. I think you're so far ahead that you want the burst style from Ludens. Oh, nice dodge here from Annie, using the speed up from the E there. Sizzle, what's up, bro? Yep, Prime is up 1-0, but Vancouver has a really, really impressive early game going here. Looks like they are in good position to potentially take this to Game 3, but we'll see what happens here. Lux Q ends up hitting the dogs. Here, Tibbers comes out, but doesn't have the most damage backing him up here, so Lux all getting ready to come back up. Sabova getting poked out quite a bit from Malphite here. Turns out you can poke out a Gnar as Malphite even without AP. Yeah, and this is Q-Max into E-Max here. Phoenix Flare is up top here, but again, this is a tank Malphite, so we'll see. Chunky ends up getting the stun off, but Malphite times it with the unstoppable force. So well played by Malphite overall. Lux is going to pick up about a plate and a half, maybe even two. Bigby getting engaged on here by Stunner, but just a little quick trade here. Yeah, we see plate. Oh man, almost two coming out from this Lux. Zweb using this tempo with Jungle Show on top to get Dragon here. This Ocean Dragon. Ocean on top with Chemtech early. I think has to be like just a super disgusting duo. Because you don't think about like the health that you get back being amplified by Chemtech. But it makes it super annoying to deal with. Oh, but we see Chunky getting flash ulted here by Zweb. And again, getting taken down. This Annie just not having a great time. 0-4-0 here for little Chunky Buggy. This mid turret potentially going to fall here after this push. They do have Void Grubs here. Nice ult by Sabova. Malphite tanking a couple turret shots there, but walking away. Feats of Strength now going over. Actually, Feats went over with the last dragon. My apologies there. So yeah, Feats of Strength now confirmed on the side of Impact Challengers.
Turret plating will soon fall.
Do you see Zweb looking like he's potentially going to lane gank here? We'll see how this ends up playing. Well played overall. We kind of seen that coming from quite a bit away. Malphite was going to ult here. Stunner and Pixel getting some free damage here on this bot turret. Gets it down to about half health. Not really super scared at this Annie. Phoenix Flare losing all of the dogs from a single Lux E. Nico trying to potentially make something happen, but ends up turning back. The Phoenix Flare is going to end up falling and a combination of MLAC stun and Stunner's ult. Stun coming out here onto this Nico. Ends up having to burn heal, earns flash as well, and ends up walking into a corridor that makes it so easy for the Lux to just blast him in the face here. And this game is starting to get out of hand for Prime quite quickly here. So we have 5-0-1 on Lee Sin, 3-0-5 onto Lux here. So massive turnaround overall for Vancouver after how last game went. Team Prime's here by himself. Oh, big engage over here by Nico, but Zweb Wing over to his backline here to help him out. Now over there, kicks Big B into the group. Nice stun by Phoenix Flare, though can't dodge the Malphite ult. And it ends up being a double kill given over to Stunner here with all that fighting. And Malphite ends up picking one of his own here. Oh, we see Little Chunky all-inning Lux here, but getting stunned and falling to Stunner. Yeah, Lisa played that so insanely well there, Nexus. I needed you to cast that whole thing, because I could not keep up with it. This is just falling apart fight by fight for Prime here. As they are down 2 dragons, grubs. Probably going to be down a 3rd Drake here when it comes up here in about 30 seconds. As Impact's team is already heading that way to set up for it. But almost about 8K down here at the 17-minute mark, which is just an insane goal deficit here. Oh, Nars TP top lane, so I feel like Team Prime has no way to enter this this dragon area at all. They're just gonna have to hopefully push out waves. Oh, MLAC with some skill shot expression right there. Throwing the QE and then knowing the Q is gonna hit, already charged up the ult, and there was nothing Little Chunky could do about it. Snowballing so much he even went death cap second. I think if you're Team Prime at this point, you're kind of do what Impact did last game, where you maybe just death brush and hopefully people just walk into it. But there's also a world where they're just going through the motions here and trying to figure out what they're going to draft this next time. Oh, Lee Sin ends up hitting the ult on the Phoenix Flare here. Big B trying to put out some damage here, but again, they're just so far ahead. Oh my lord, that looks damage. I mean, in a wide open lane like this, you do have Annie, Nico here, so there's a chance you can pull the fight here. Phoenix Flare is on the side here. If you wait too long, Lux's poke is going to get really, really prominent and hard to deal with. But let's see. Even if these fights go even, this really favors Team Prime. We've seen this last game with Vancouver Impact where they death brushed, went 4 for 4, but with all the shutdowns, they came out well ahead. And then, oh, engage coming out here from QX. Oh, the Lee Sin kick was so good. Knocking Phoenix into Sabova. CCing both Oh, and they didn't even care about the anti-burst. They just pulled the trigger on it. See, can he drift it? Can he drift it? Oh, look at this! Someone give this Malphite some driver's license here. Perfect game incoming. Bro, you had to jinx it. Oh, Pixel is so tanky here. Ends up knocking up the Fury. But now Malphite's here. Yeah, you're not walking into this Malphite at all. So, I see you over there talking about a perfect game there, Rurika. The thing is about a perfect game in a series is that it almost feels like it means nothing. And I'll explain that. Like, if you lose a very, very close game, that impacts your mental more than, say, just getting perfect gamed. Because if you're perfect game, you're like, okay, like, what, we got our butts kicked, go on to the next one. Like, there's no what ifs. But you also had to say something about it, and there you got a towers. Oh. Sabova trying his best here. Big engaged by Nico here. Pixelated may fall down. Nope. Phoenix Flare trying to dive in. The dogs end up dying from all the residual fire from MLAC. Flash coming out onto Big B here. Pops the barrier, but it won't be enough. And Vancouver Impact strike back in this game 2 here, as they only allowed one turret to be taken. And this is a 22-minute defeat for Team Prime. So let's see what happens this game 3 draft, as this is going to be very interesting. MLAC almost one-shotting people on spawn. Phoenix Flare in the chat. I had to do a content game. Don't worry. You know what? I'm not worried. Sometimes it just goes that way. Sometimes it doesn't. But like I said, if you get beat to like that degree, you're not even thinking about the game. You're just like, let's get it over and go to the next one, because the next one's going to be vastly different. So, but. Yep, Nexus giving the fans Silver Scrapes, that they are. And while I can't play Silver Scrapes, do I have anything close to it? I'm trying to think. Do I have a Worlds theme song in this playlist? I do think I think I did. This is Worlds Collide. Here we go. Here's a little Worlds theme action. Can't tell if this is just friendly banter or what's going on here. I'm gonna go with this is just friendly banter. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But we do have a game 3 coming out between Prime and Vancouver Impact. So 2 out of these 4 series go to game 3 in this quarterfinal matchup. So for those joining us, we can pull up game 1 here. Was a big performance standout by Little Chunky here on this Vex pick early game. He gets the first blood on the MLAC and then roamed around the map and made a lot of things happen. Phoenix Flare ends up getting a boatload of kills as well, just during rotations and everything. You know, Gwen moments, got the first item real quick, and they just snowballed from there. And then game 2 here, which we just concluded, was a tough one for Team Prime. They ended up invading level 1, but got 3-0'd in the invade here. As they sniffed out the invade, Pixel came up from bot lane there, and it was a 4v3 where Impact didn't drop a single member. Let's delay another 5 minutes for back and forth. No. Let's get this over with. Some of us do have to work tomorrow, so. But we are in the lobby here, and for the first time, we have Team Prime on red side in this series here. So. Ooh, Shuffle ended up pulling up some remix Rumble from the TFT set. I love the violins here. Alright, Phoenix Flare saying he is locked in, so let's see what happens here. Move over to game 3. Oh, we've already... Well, they didn't waste some time here once I got in the lobby on this draft. So, looking at this draft so far, not much has changed. I think the bans, for the most part, are the same. Outside of 1 or 2. Impact gets rid of Nocturne, Poppy, Graves. Prime gets rid of Kindred, Galio, and the Mundo. Oh, we see a snap pick on the Mel, and before I could even say something, I know this Prime team because this mid laner shares a lot of my champion pool. I remember playing against these guys in week 2. He is an avid Anivia Acel player, and the moment you snap ban Mel, I figured he was going to pull out the Acel here. So we'll see what happens here. Mel does have some decent success in the early game against Acel, but the moment Mel ever gets baited into using E and misses it, Acel's just in her face here. This is a matchup that I know quite well from both sides here. So Prime does end up picking the Tristana up. So Big B wanting a little more of an aggressive pick here instead of kind of sitting back doing his job. You know, wants the Tristana here. Still a scaling pick, but can make some stuff happen in lane given the support pick. Oh, and game 3 of Fearless, we see a Vi come out here. Vi, excellent answer in my opinion to Asol or Tristana. Can stop them in the middle of their dashes. It's just nothing they can do to get away from her. So Vi, a really big pick. Vi Mel, kind of an underrated duo here. It's not Vi Ari prominent, um, but if Vi plays with Mel correctly, they can chain each other, and you're guaranteed to get some. Okay, so Melbot Impact kind of throwing out the flex pick here, as Mel was picked, responded with Asol, but now we see an Oriana coming out here, so now potentially this Aurelion Sol has more to worry about in a Vi Oriana combo. So let's see what the rest of this draft has in store here. Melbot been played quite a few times this split. I know there's a few ADs that don't mind playing AP bots side. We seen CoinFlip's AD yesterday pull out stuff like Swain, and I think he's even played Mel before. So, yeah, Melbot is not foreign to this league. Renata coming in, so I think Impact may be looking to draft a little more engaged here with this Renata ban. Mordekaiser coming out. Mordekaiser definitely does a lot of really, really good things into the 3 shown by Impact. Mel can't do anything. Oriana can never run away. And Vi just absolutely hates facing Mordekaiser in the Death Realm. And then Karma getting taken away as well by Prime. So let's see what Impact's last band is going to be here. It's going to be a Rel. So getting rid of some of the Wombo and the Engage here. Leona, though, still on the table here by Prime. The only thing that feels bad is Xin Zhao still loves Enchanters, but this is a game where I feel like he can kind of play on his own. There is quite a bit of range coming out from Impact's side, and nothing that really gets in his face and brawls inside of the Xin Zhao ult, so we'll see what Impact picks here. And a Renekton coming out here, so game 3, potentially last game of the season. Churros is give me the Croc. Let's have a little fun up top side. Let's see what you got. Gnar off the board, Malphite off the board, Gwen off the board. So couple of answers still out there for Renekton, but he's kind of the de facto best top laner left. So we'll see what happens here. Impact. Now, what are you picking here for support? So Alistar is your support here. And then Prime potentially going for this Ornn pick. That would mean there's a lot of scaling coming out of Prime here. With Ornn, Asol, and Tristana even has really respectable amounts of scaling here. You know, this is this feel like I look at both of these drafts, and especially Prime, this feels like their bread and butter comp. Like they have a stability wave clear mage in the mid lane. Sabova, you know, has shown a lot of promise on a lot of these tank picks. So Ornn makes a boatload of sense. And then there's a lot of consistency in the bot lane. Like Tristana just doesn't get pushed in that well. Though versus Mel, I think she will find herself under turret for the first couple early levels here. I think overall, though, what I like about Prime's comp, especially into this B1 Mel, is there's not the greatest amount of things to reflect here. You can reflect Ornn R, but that's about the major one you're looking for here. I mean, if you're really good, you can deflect Buster Shot, but it's a really interesting timing. So, This just it feels like both these teams kind of got some bread and butter and some comfort here overall. So I'm very excited to see what this game comes out to. Binky, whoever wins top probably wins this game. I think that's fair. Though if there is a world where Ornn can go down 10, 15, even 20 CS, I'll say like a gank, uh, then Prime still has ways of stalling out a game with wave clear. Because Tristana's uh, passive on one of her abilities uh, does a decent amount of wave clear, and then Asol, like if you're pushing into Asol, he definitely doesn't mind those situations. Though the fact that it's Asol versus Vi, Ori, Mel, uh, it's definitely, it really sucks for him. So Oriana versus Asol is a typical, Oriana versus Mage matchup that's not like Syndra or a poke mage. Like she can bully him around early. If she does though waste her W and doesn't get any value out of it, Asol has worlds where he can come at her pretty aggressively. So Asol can definitely get out of control versus Oriana quite quickly. But I feel like though, if Prime's comp gets ahead, there's enough shit in front of Asol Tristana that if Vi ever tries to dive the back line, Oriana's going to be too far, and Mel's going to be too far to support, and she just might fall. So I think this Impact Challenger team comp's going to really test their communication and their coordination here, to where I feel like Prime in some fights can take that first punch and then fire back quite a bit. So yeah, so the chat's kind of just agreeing where, it just depends on how these fights start. War Initiate, finally you're here. Well, welcome to a game 3 between Impact, Vancouver Impact Challengers, and Team Prime. I think if you're Impact, you should take single objectives 15 minutes. I tend to agree, yeah. If Impact can keep this game pretty fast pace and not overstretch on their objectives, they can definitely get a lot of the early game objectives. If they get grubs, I think that works out quite well for them. I think if they get the first dragon or two, they have to make sure that if they get the first dragon or two, that third dragon becomes even more important because of just the timer that it puts on the game. So, we do have the spectator delay here, about 30 seconds, so it should be snapping us into this game here. For those in the chat, what draft do you like here? We have a little bit of a scaling late game draft coming out of Prime. Vancouver definitely put themselves on a timer early. I'm sorry, put themselves on a timer for late game with this Oriana, Renekton, Mel. Like, they don't have anything really to take down this Ornn if he ever gets ahead. So I'm very curious to see what their response is to that overall. Let me pull the chat up real quick. So and we do have the music still on. Let me turn that off real quick. So we don't need the music for this whole game. Unless you guys think I'm that boring, which if you do, then sorry, you can mute the stream. So, 5-point coming out from both teams here.
Minions have spawned.
I think the big thing for me that I'm going to pay attention to is this mid lane matchup. I just want to see how much pressure MLAC puts onto this Azul, and if she's able to just, keep him down. Because the more you keep him down, the more of a buffer you have before late game. But people that play Azul definitely know how to farm against them. It's like Vladimir, Kale, like they're just so good at farming on early game or on late game champs. So Bova getting a couple grass procs in here already. Oh, we've seen MLAC take E level 2, by the way, instead of W. So Pixel getting jumped on here as the level 2 ends up going over the Big B and Q'ing. Even CS up in the top lane. Junglers are matching side for side on clear, so we could see the first ganks come bot lane or even potentially mid lane here. And this is kind of what I was talking about, where Azul has a world where he can just jump at Orianna here. Flashes away, and first blood goes over the MLAC. He just kept flying into his face there. I mean, the trade was good at the beginning, but to keep it going, you just kind of left yourself wide open there for a trade back. So first blood going over to this Orianna. See if Sabova can get one back here on Chiros. The Q, the double E coming through here. Both top laners really, really low. Jungler's not on that side of the map. They both clear top to bot. So stressful couple minutes here for the side of Team Prime. We see Azul going the Seraph's Embrace, which I'm actually okay with considering all the stuff that's going to be attacking you. Like I could see it. It makes sense. Chunky, though, has no flash, so Zweb ends up coming mid here and attacking Azul again, and that's a kill going over the Vi. So now 1 kill apiece to Zweb and Calm here in the mid lane. Azul does lose most of that wave as well here, so like I said, if you attack this Azul early, your timer, your buffer to the late game just gets bigger and bigger. Actually, if I'm calm here on this Oriana, I'd probably just rush Sorks, and I'm just trying to beat the hell out of this dragon. Keep him down, keep him away from the minion wave. Because that's the only other thing that can help Acel when he's behind gold is the stacks. Because the stacks do make up quite a bit of his damage. Especially in the mid to late game here. So, see, Vancouver Impact already up 1,000 gold here in this 5.5 minute mark. We'll see if any of these junglers make a play on this dragon. I would expect this game to be a little bit slower paced here just because of the pressure being game 3. This is your season on the line here, so it's really hard to make those ballsy kind of moves that you would make, you know, especially like we seen out of game 1. So we see Qxing ends up going in here, proccing the aftershock. Big B's jumping in here, and Xin Zhao's here. So Prime picks up one back here in the bot lane. Unfortunately, it does go over to Leona, so that is a feels bad moment. Yeah, you want to get that back on Bigsby. Oh, Little Chunky getting out of the Oriana ult, but Zweb ends up flashing in, but tanks enough turret shots that Calm gets another one onto Acel. But this is tempo enough that Prime picks up this first dragon. And to me, this first dragon is so important. Not only is it Ocean Soul, but then this means that you've now re-extended the timer back in favor of you guys. Because now this game is delayed. There's not going to be any, you know, 25 to 30 minute Dragon Soul. You can give the next 3 and let this Acel start to scale. Aftershock Leona. Yeah, it's not the GeoProw special. It's not PTA. Oh, and I love this. This is Luden's coming out of this Oriana. Bring it on. I love this. You can't play just to go even. You can't play just to have like something as consistent as Blackfire Torch. Like, build the burst items. Like, establish this lead. Zweb still has ult. Oriana's ult still about 25% left on cooldown. Zweb is invading here and gets taken down by Little Chunky here. So he gets some stacks back and some gold here. So invade when the rest of the lanes really didn't have much prio at all. You know, mistake coming out of Impact here. Not sure if he felt like his solo lanes were coming or what happened there. Sabova with an early Bramble Vest here. Well, supports trading keystones there. And Pixel ends up getting the ward back in return. I see Mel picking up the tier here. Not necessarily something I'm fully on board with. I don't think you're in dire need of getting bursted down, so you could have went Blackfire. Sabova doesn't have the most amount of mana to fight this, or I feel like he turns on Renekton. Renekton is level 8, has ult up. We'll see how this fight ends up going. Big B just trying to clear the wave here. Oh my lord, 9.5 minute Luden on Oriana. Oh, that's gonna hurt. It's gonna make me think that this next Vi ult is coming mid. Little Chunky will have flash up, so we'll see how he plays this. But this is really gonna hurt. We do see Prime though. Looks like they're duo invading, trying to figure out where the Xin Zhao is. I'm sorry, where this Vi is. Oh, and an all-in coming out. Calm ends up ulting away. So we trade ults here between Orianna and Aesol here. Both mid laners trading TPs. Little Chunky going with the Rylai's first, which I think is pretty big pickup here. There's not much mobility outside of Vi on the side of Impact's comp. We did see a trade of grubs here. Prime picking up one. Impact ends up getting two of them. Chiro's getting jumped on here. Nice flash overall, though. He's going to get slowed by the Rylai's. Flash from Sabova to pick it up here. Oh, we see Zweb just going in on Sabova here. He is pretty tanky overall. And Phoenix Flare ends up picking up that one. We have a fight here in the bot lane. Bigby getting ignited here. Stunned up by Pixel. Mel can't really get through this Leona here. Pixel's still doing everything he can. Bigby just trying to chop down this friggin' Ox. This ult makes him the tankiest thing in the world. So just a trade of cooldowns over here. MLAC, though, coming through the jungle and ends up picking off Bigby as he's autoing this ward here. So MLAC ends up now with a third kill. Phoenix Flare does jump on him. Leona's on her way. Chunky's got big ult here. This could be a fight. Chunky flashes the ult. Zweb's going to end up potentially falling here. It's got the Rylai's. W still active by Aesol. Pixel's going to fall. You see Aesol W is going to get refreshed here. He's chasing MLAC. Ends up taken out by Zweb here going too forward. Now Stunner's in the mix here. But not much damage left for the side of Prime, so they end up turning it back around. Sabova, though, wandering on this bot side gives Chiros and these two grubs that his jungler took all the time in the world on this top turret. And this is most likely going to be first turret? Renekton may fall, but yeah, this is first turret, and that's actually feats of strength. Going over to the side of Impact challengers. Renekton popping ult Dominus. Let's see, gets some healing. Phoenix Flare ends up taking. I'm sorry, Sabova got the kill here. But this does give Impact challengers time to get this dragon.
Turret plating will fall soon.
Lots of fighting all around this map, which is kind of what I thought this mid-game would be, is these teams just wanting to brawl. Here, though. Let's check. Aesol has 168 stat. Oh, Lord, is Aesol's ahead of the stack. Oh, buddy. Ult coming out here on the Orianna. She ends up ulting back. Gets phase rush. But Phoenix ends up flashing knock-up, sweep into auto-attack, and takes down Calm. Gets the shutdown. Qxing ends up missing the Leona ult. Pixelate boots Big B back. And that's the end of that bot lane trade. I kind of seen that coming. Smite to delay the back. Alright. Looking at the game state here, gold is relatively even, about 500 in favor of Impact Challengers here. We do see them, though, wanting to all-in this Asol, but it got sniffed out here, and Zweb ends up getting away, though Asol Wing over. Ult not available for the Orianna yet. Asol with the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, flying forward and slowing everybody he's breathing on. With all 5 up in this top river, this is going to be a Rift Herald going over to the side of Prime. Stunner, though, picking up some... Oh. Okay, so Bova ends up TPing behind. Nice stun or snare overall on the Chunky, but it's not going to end up resulting in anything. Chunky gets a few stacks here. MLAC ulting the bot lane here, but he's going to get all in. And Qzing, again, picking up the kill via Ignite on this Leona. So Big B, again, just not getting any part of these kills, just assists. So he's now 0-1 and 2. The good news is for Big B, though, is this Asol's getting a lot of this gold, a lot of stacks. And his curve is like so expedited with all this fighting. So we do see Mel TPing bot side here. My biggest concern is with all this fighting, it's just accelerated the scaling picks for the side of Prime here. And, you know, Impact Challengers, Vancouver Impact, sorry, they don't have a traditional AD carry, so, you know, if this Ornn ends up getting ahead of specifically the Orianna and Mel, there's nothing really chopping him down. I mean, Renekton didn't go Black Cleaver first. I mean, he looks like he's building his way towards it now, but he's never going to beat Ornn in the push, I feel like, in this mid to late game. Sabova taking a little bit of poke there, but like he took all of that from Mel, and his health bar barely moved, and he has 0 MR. Big B chopping down this mid lane turret. Dominus getting taken here. The Croc all inning Chunky here. Rylai's Crystal Scepter just making it able for Asol just to walk away here. And I will say that is a pretty fair trade here. I know it sucks to burn Flash, but getting big ult off of Asol impacts this next dragon fight quite heavily here. Big B jumping in here, booting out Calm before the ult, but still gets taken down by Zweb. Impacts making a push here. And we see them hopping onto this bot lane here. Asol is here. I think they have to hightail it back to Dragon here. They don't want to overchase into Asol. You know, they still have, you know, 4v5 coming. Orianna ult halfway off cooldown now. But I think you just give this Dragon if you're Team Prime here. You let Asol just continue to scale. Flash ends up having to get burned here by Stunner off the Leona ult. So, all in all, again, gold's still about a 2,000 difference. Otacon just now spawning. Dragons are in favor of Impact Challenger. Gold difference is probably fairly even across the board here. Biggest gold difference being in favor of Stunner, as he's up about 400 gold. But we do see 1,000 gold up on Cuxing for this Leona here. So junglers are also about 1,000 gold in difference. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be, I think, another quiet minute or two before this dragon comes up. Unless, looks like they're trying to group onto this Acel here. Oh, they're posturing potentially for Otacon here. See, Acel does not have big ult. He's less than halfway through, so big ult not going to be in play here on this Otacon fight, though there's quite a bit of stacks that he just got. Stunner is going to end up backing and catching the wave topside as he has TP. And all of this was a little bit of posturing. Nothing really special came out of it. I think Acel does have enough time if they donate him some waves to get the big ult, but that's also going to hurt Big B because I think he's trying to get the IE. So, Orianna on 2 items now. I think if you're going to go Shadow Flame, you probably should just go all in on Pen with the Sork Shoes. I don't think the Merc Treads are the most necessary thing here, as there's not much diving into you. Pixel ends up getting jumped on here by the Acel, slowed down. Nice dodge overall. Web and Phoenix Flare having their 1v1 here. This time it's not in the chat, but now the rest of the team's coming out. Phoenix Flare ends up falling. Cuxing ends up burning the locket here. Stunner ends up using the deflect but got no value out of it. Sabova doesn't deflect the ult back. Big B is fighting on the other side here. Little Chunky flying away with Q's. Zweb is low, does not fall to Otacon here. And that ends up being a 3-for-1 overall. We do see Renekton TP's in. His ult's halfway on cooldown. Little Chunky just trying to farm some stacks here with the E. This is overall going to be Otacon going over to Impact Challengers. I believe coming out of this fight, we have Dragon here in 45 seconds. Little Chunky will have big ult up for this Dragon fight, so that's massive. I don't know if he might push this lane with an E and then TP bot quickly. This fight's going to start up real quick. You see Acel up top, so Impact could potentially pull the trigger. Okay, he does TP onto this mid lane turret here, so and Chunky's actually at 320. Oh man, he's well ahead of the stack pace here. So Web charging up the Q, but doesn't make a move on it. Oh, Little Chunky using the big ult as like a pseudo engage here. The enhanced magic boots coming out of Renekton actually playing a big role there, deflecting a lot of that damage. That's a ult down here from Chunky. Sabova is going to end up pulling the trigger here. Pixel trying the front line here. Big ult coming out of Orianna, but doesn't take anybody out. Little Chunky's falling to Renekton Vi here. Renekton just trying to dive this back line. Big B ends up going out. Phoenix Flare engaging back, trying to play the kite game into these mages. Stunner's ult ends up not getting anybody. There's a boatload of MR boots coming out. the side of Team Prime. So what ended up being kind of a useless ult coming out of the Acel, he still had a really good fight overall, and they just couldn't take down Big B. Stunner ends up getting stunned up by this Leona. How poetic. Stunner getting stunned. And this ends up being a winning fight here for Team Prime. And Acel just keeps getting more and more cuts of these fights here. All of these resources going into him. You know, he's really, really close to his Seraph's Embrace. He's already got his 2 core items in Leander's Rylai's. MLAC's ult was really, really clutch there, but just didn't have the damage to finish anybody off. We start to see some of these Orin items come out as he's level 15. He's already upgraded Big B's Yuntao here. And that's quite a bit of stats coming out. 51 to protect suite. Ooh, buddy. That's quite a bit. But Seraph's now coming out, which I think is the big, big break point for Team Prime's whole comp. Is now little. You cannot Vi Ori Little Chunky here. The former Acel 500 stack speedrun. Shiros ends up getting jumped on here. Ends up getting stopped. He's trying to do his best here. Mel TP's up top. But she just has no damage to do anything to this Orin here. Pixelated coming up here. Mel getting burned away from Acel. Pixelated now getting jumped on here. Orianna ult still up. Pixelated trying to do his best to walk away and couldn't here. And this could end up being a Baron for Team Prime. This Acel melts through Baron quite quickly here. Well, if he actually cues it, yes. There he is. They're trying to stop Zweb to coming in. Big B takes a chunk of damage from the Orianna ult. Acel E ends up blocking everything. Gets knocked up by Orin. And now it looks like Impact's trying to re-engage this fight. Phoenix Flare might fall. Gets shut down by Renekton here. Big B hops away. And that's Baron off 1. Renekton's still in pursuit, but Acel W is the thing. But they will get this mid lane tier 1 here, so a little bit of gold in return coming out for Impact. Another minute 40 on this next dragon, which I think is going to be a pivotal dragon here. Both teams want to get on soul point here. Oh lord, if just the Seraphs wasn't enough to punch through on this Acel, now he's got a Banshee's Veil. So just give up trying to Vi Ori this Acel. They have not had any real luck after laning phase getting that combo in. Blue buff getting taken by Phoenix Flare here. Now they're warding together to kind of set up a little preliminary vision. Dragon up in 50 seconds. Let's see. Little Chunky will have big ult for this fight. Oh my lord. That's not good for the side of Vancouver. Void Staff does come out. See a little bit of a Death Brush coming here. Pixel will end up getting caught out here. Orianna ult doing what he can to help. See, Phoenix Flare kind of scrapping down on the bot side. Big B does fly away. Chunky's now grouped up here with his team, so Ace ult, Big ult in play. Phase rush down for Ori, which is a pretty underrated cooldown. And now Team Prime starting up the dragon here. Sabova trying to do his best to zone. They're jumping on to the support here. Big ult comes down, only hits one, but residual effects come out. Leona falls. Oh my god, the Croc just melted Acel here. Mel ends up getting another one here. Croc go burr in this fight. This Croc will not be stopped here. And they're potentially looking to get inhib. What a fight by the top laner for Vancouver Impact. Death timers at sub 20. I don't think that they will not be able to end. They might get inhib here and then double back for dragon. Yeah, they definitely cannot end here. They have hex gates to get out, so inhib falls down. This is going to be probably a hot take. I don't think you take inhib there. Because now Acel just gets, like, very much free stacks here. He does TP away. You don't have tempo. You actually, I think, lose this dragon here. With Hex Gates. Though MLAC and Stunner both have TP. And we're going to run this back again, boys. Though, now super minions are nice to have as they're going to perma push mid here. The thing is, Acel does not have big ult. That's the big game changer for this fight here. Everybody else's ults are back off cooldown. Yeah, this is a straight salty run back. Come here. Almost same position here. Though I will say they're going to have to respect the Croc. Ult comes out here. Chunky ends up just flying through. Burning Stunner. Much bigger, better fight here for Prime here. Oh, big Orianna ult on the side here. And it looks like Impact is fighting back here. Phoenix ends up diving in. Oh, big headbutt pulverize coming out. And Croc is popping off here up top. Now this might be an end angle here for Impact challengers. Okay, so I'm completely wrong on the inhib take. You do take that, because if you win the fight, you win the game. And they're stopping Sabova's back. Oh my lord, TP coming in by the Croc. Death timers in 20 seconds here. This is going to be an end here for Vancouver Impact Challenger. Wow. What a game changer there. They were down in gold for most of the game. Evened it up on kills. And two big dragon fights. They end up taking the series away from Team Prime here. Wow. What a fight. What a fight. What a performance by both teams. That's a hell of a 3-game series. Wowzers. What an ending here. There's our draft. There's our client. Ooh-wee. Orianna 34K. Renekton. Big Croc. Ooh, what a brawl. What a back and forth brawl overall. What a banger. And let me try to see if I can get an interview here set up. It looks like we might get an interview here. Let me see what they want me to do. Yeah, it looks like we will get an interview. What's
Hello, hello.
what's up?
Hey,
How we doing?
Hello.
How we doing, gentlemen?
Pretty
pretty
good
good.
win. Pretty happy.
My hand's still shaking
Ah,
a little bit.
bro, what a crock. Those last.
Thank you, thank you. I didn't expect that last we'd actually win that last fight. Though my mid laner saved the game over, obviously. And I just follow up.
Yeah, that two-man Oriana ult on what was that? That was on Tristana Acel, right? You got both
Yeah,
backliners. Was fucking
yeah. I
insane.
I was in the bush and I saw Aso like flying on me, and yeah. Next thing I know, we killed them all. So.
Man. So like what's what's the thought after like going into game 3 when it's not necessarily like back-to-back stomps, but let's be honest, it wasn't, one of the most competitive games there. I mean, you got your mid laner gets first blooded mid and just seems to just run amok all over the map, and then you guys almost perfect game them game 2. Like, what's your thoughts going into this game 3? Knowing that they're
Uh,
kind of on their, I don't want to say signature champions, but this is the champions that they've played quite a bit throughout the whole league.
Honestly, I don't do the draft too much. I have my stunner here do all the drafts, so I just play whatever he put me on, honestly.
Yeah, so I'm actually just the coach, and not even for this team. I coach a different team for our organization. I'm just here to sub. I'm a very retired player, so I'm just here to help out. But going into game two was where the thought was. When we went through that game when it was pretty rough, but we just had to reset, come into game two fully ready to go, new mindset, and that carried on to game three. Like we were having jokes, we were laughing in game three. Like game one, it was pretty unfortunate, and we were definitely a little bit down, but we all sat down. We were like, hey guys, let's reset. Game two, and we did amazing. Everyone did super well, and then game three, it was just all vibes, all laughs.
Man. Whew. Well, that's impressive overall, especially like the way game 3 went. I know we can kind of jump into the middle of it where you got a couple of early kills on the Acel, but it didn't. It just felt like he was still getting a cut of the gold from all the residual fights, and he was well ahead on the stacks. And then he gets a couple of really big, like the upgraded ults on you guys, and it just felt like you guys never really had pure control of the game, but you could at least scrap back with the team comp. Like those last two fights, I man, take me through like some of the calls or some of the thoughts, like posturing for those two fights, especially the first fight in the Dragon where he had big ult. Were you guys trying to play around it and dodge it, or just looking for the key engages?
I think around whole like team fighting, it's basically just lock down ASO. Um, the Mel obviously like trying to just like just block the Ornald. I don't know, but it's just too chaotic, I guess. It's hard to, I guess, to like but mostly just all the ASO, I think.
Well,
Like
you're just
I think
vibing.
we just settled down and came up with the idea that we need to lock down the proper targets, and we were all on the same page, which is really the big thing. Like with most teams these days, everyone's got their own ideas, but as much as we have that going on our team, we all sat down and we were like, okay, we got this. We can figure out what we want to do, and we're gonna do it together. And that's really where we ended up going.
Nice. Nice. Well, kind of sitting here looking at the bracket, which I'm going to throw that up on stream. So you guys take down the number one seed for Group D in Prime, which I will admit I did pick Prime, but you know
Hey man,
it it is
you
what it
didn't
is.
believe?
It's not gonna
I
say
mean,
I
I
didn't.
won't be offended, but I think Corals might be offended.
A
Yeah.
little bit.
Okay. How do you actually pronounce your tag? Because I'm getting flamed left and right.
You say chorus?
I say
Chorus, like with a
cheer.
K?
I think I say Cheerios, like more of like a Cheerios sound.
Yeah, you've been butchering that since like day one, but it's okay.
Bro,
It's
I've been
okay.
butchering casting since day one.
Yes, yes, that's you're not lying.
I
Oh,
think you're
thanks.
doing pretty well. You do a lot better than Corals here. He just stutter.
He just vibes with it. I feel it. So you get the winner tomorrow of Happy Jellyfish Femboys. Have you had a chance to look at any of the other groups or playoff series to
Uh,
have a
m- m-
specific team you want to face? Or
we actually played our the jelly. We scrimmed them few weeks ago, or like last week. But this was a different roster. They pretty solid, so they probably gonna win tomorrow. But hey, it could change.
okay,
Never know.
and
I'm
then
not sure how good the Femboys team is.
I
Are
mean
they first seed?
they are second seed from Group A, which that group the top three seeds tied at 4-1 apiece. They had to play tiebreakers. So
I'm personally hoping to go up against Jellyfish again. They're a great team. I think we've scrimmed them, like Carl said, and we just have pretty good connections with them. So hopefully, especially since we're both in the same group, we all make it out at least to semis.
okay. All right. And then last question here for I let you guys go. Next round's BO5 Fearless. How do you feel about that?
Oh, we actually never
I
played
didn't know that.
BO5 Fearless before. Most
Uh-oh.
of our scrim is BO3 Fearless, so
Well,
Yeah,
semifinals
I
in
didn't know it
uh,
was BO5. I actually had no idea.
Well, now you know.
well, I'm gonna have some. We can have some spicy pick if that go to game five, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll have
semifinals and
something up.
finals are BO5 and this is our first split we've went Fearless. So,
Fearless is definitely amazing. BO5, I'm just gonna have to sit down and draft better then.
well, I mean, you guys had some pretty solid drafts all in all during this whole series, so
Yeah,
congrats
thank
man. That
you.
was a well
Appreciate it.
It's
fought
all
well.
Stunner.
Yep.
I will take the credit, but it's all him.
Nah,
Oh
you're
well,
not
it's a team
escaping.
effort.
Well, between MLAC's Oriana and then your Renekton cleaning up those last two fights, man, you're not escaping credit, man. I gotta give it.
100%. I mean, when it comes down to it, I can draft whatever, but if the team doesn't play it right, we don't work together, it's not going to work out. So it's always a team effort.
Yep, yep. All right, gentlemen. Well, I will let you guys go. It is a little late here on a Sunday night, but you know,
Sunday.
Saturday. Sorry. Bah.
Yeah,
Why
you
you got
got
to
me.
correct
You
him on
got.
stream, bro? Like, just
No, I'm scared.
go.
I have school on Monday.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm all right.
this is a work night for me.
Alright.
I work on Sunday,
Thank you
so.
guys for. Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, thanks for coming in for an interview and
Thank you for
congrats.
having us. Appreciate it.
Yep, we'll see you guys next week for the BO5s.
Sounds
All right.
good. Have a good one.
You as well.
Have a good one.
See you later.
And that was the AD bot laner and top laner for Vancouver Impact, as they will take on the winner of Happy Jellyfish versus Femboys tomorrow to go to the semifinals. So I will look up the schedule for that. Sorry. And when is tomorrow's being played? It is at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, so a little bit earlier than today's series. But it's going to be a banger matchup, as our two resident trolls in the chat. I say that, you know, jokingly. And Rurika and Binky will be going head to head there in the mid lane. And so we'll see what they handshake on. But yeah, Vancouver Impact takes down Prime in a absolute 3-game banger of a series. Game 1, Prime made a really good early game rotations with Vex, got fed, and kind of just snowballed the mid game. Make a poster. I'm not making a poster. Um, Impact then fights back game 2 with damn near a perfect game. But then game 3, both teams I think got exactly what they wanted and exactly the style that they play, and absolutely presented one of the best games so far this season. So these playoffs have been nothing short of just banger after banger, and we'll see what happens here. So we could see all 3 teams out of Group A get in the semifinals, or we could see Happy Jellyfish be the second first seed team to get in the semifinals. So we'll end up seeing how this goes. So tune in tomorrow, like I said, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I will be casting it as well. I think we might have another person joining me because I know my voice is completely boring, and as most people would say, I don't get hyped enough. But we'll see if Hairwick or somebody else wants to join and bring a little more excitement to this. But yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night.